losers. Inspire.
Welcome back to another Wisdom Wednesday discussion. I am your guy, Sans Inspire, generating, uplifting, inspiring, developing, and empowering you to live inspired every day, forever. Because that's life. What's love got to do with it? We're talking embodied emergence this week and how love is or acts as rebirth. Rebirth. To anchor this in, start with the thought that inspired this discussion. Comes from Rumi. And it's a quote. It says, the wound is the wound is the place where the light enters you. The womb or the wound is the place where light enters you. This speaks to our body as being an archive, to be honest, a living archive. And it stores everything, all of our moments of joy, our moments of heartache, our aches and pains, every loss, every setback, every fear, and every victory that is archived in our bodies. And when pain is left unacknowledged, it nests in our body and it shows up as tension. The heaviness feels like I got a lot of weight on my shoulders. You can feel disconnected or diseased. And I'm pausing to think about this because how many are affected by the body and how that feels, the mind and how we think, our heart and how that feels, or the love that it doesn't feel. And it seems like a lot of our existence comes down to these expressions, these feelings. Sometimes we call them emotions. And a lot of times we think that healing is about removing or erasing something. And healing is not about erasing the wound. It's about transforming it. We're here to transmute, transform from one to another. We start as a cell. That cell grows into an embryo, or embryo turns into a baby turns into a toddler turns into a child turns into a teenager, and then that teenager becomes an adult. Sometimes we skip the teenage years and we go straight to adulthood. At least we think, right? But we're always transforming. So we want to transform our pain, those wounds, into portals where we can connect with our power and renewal. So we're going to travel through the pain to get to the healing. I know personally we want to avoid that. No, I don't want to travel through no pain. Just leave it alone. Leave it where it is. Let's avoid it. Let's try to go around it. This is why we feel disconnected. This is why we feel heavy. This is why we are not at ease. We are facing dis-ease. You can't avoid it. We try. We use man-made medicines to avoid it. We use vices to avoid it, distractions to avoid it. And yet at some point in time, we always have to confront it. And so this is what we're talking about this week is love as rebirth, embodying this emergence. Right? We talk about love here often, especially as it relates to the self. So this week we're going to talk about and discuss how to embody this love, not as an idea, the thought of, oh yeah, love means this or can feel like this, but actually as a practice to do these things for life. So this is what it means to be inspired, to never stop prospering. It requires effort daily to really fully experience and embody love. It's a daily practice, not just an idea that we think about, something that's in a fairy tale that's far-fetched, so far, far in a long, long time ago, far, far away. It's not. So we want to understand what happens when love touches pain and then the body remembers. And we can tell ourselves that I'm safe, I'm whole, I'm home in this body. My ally, not my enemy. So the life principle that we have to back this up or to stand this on, this is our principle, which is love is the bridge between wounding and wholeness. That love is the bridge. So we are wounded, we're hurt over here, and we're whole over here. And in order to get from one side to the other, we need that love. So what's love got to do with it? It's the bridge. So if there's no bridge, you are stuck on one side, whether that be wounded or you made it to the other side and you're whole. But without that bridge of love in the middle, can we actually be whole? So to live inspired is to let love move through the body until it rewrites your story of pain into perseverance, into prosperity, into joy. So you let it move through the body. We've been stopping it. No, I don't want to feel that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to express it, especially in the male community. Love is one of those things we don't, you thought of as soft if you express that. So that leads us into this affirmation. We're going to affirm that I allow love to transform pain into power. That I allow love to transform pain into power. Our intention is to acknowledge the body's role in storing emotional pain, confronting it with compassion, thereby freeing the body to embody rebirth. We talked last week and in prior discussions about tilling the soul or tilling the soil. Our intention is to till the soul, which is to acknowledge the body's role. We understand that it's going to store our emotional pain, yet we're going to confront it with compassion in order to free the body to embody rebirth. Gotta get some of that stuff out of there, move some things around so that we can start to grow again. And the outcome is going to be to create a space for wholeness by liberating from emotional armor, taking the armor off. Once we leave battle, it's like, okay, you needed it for that. But now it's time to create the space for wholeness where we can take off this armor. We don't have to have it on all the time. Thus, allowing our bodies to become a vessel for love's regenerative fire, to regenerate, liberate in order to regenerate. So, first thing I want to talk about is it is the body and how the body remembers. The body remembers what we held on to. It remembers what we hold on to. And we want to move from holding into healing. So that's a release that has to happen. We got to let go. Okay. We holding on so tightly into so much that it's blocking us from the healing that we need. So we got to let it go. So we cannot heal what we do not feel. So my question is, have we become so numb to pain that we accept it as reality? We've become so numb to pain that we accept it as truth. This is how it's supposed to be. Oh yes, because my mother had, my father had, my great, so that I must have. We've become so numb to pain, it's become our reality. It's just something that we accept. We can't get rid of. There's nothing we can do about it. So I'll go to the doctor, I'll take some medicine for it. But this is now something that I have to live with. And the main issue that I have with that is we wasn't born with it. And how did it get there? If you weren't born with it, then it had to come from somewhere. And as we talk about giving and receiving, we understand these are principles. This is how the universe, how life operates. There is give and take. So if I take, then something had to give. And if I'm giving, then something had to take. So if you receive something that we were not born with, where did we forget that we can return that? We can get that back. We don't have to accept that. Disease is man-made. These bodies, our aches and our pains are man-made. So if it's man-made, if it was something that I could receive, then I can give it back. Then I can release it. Then I can heal from it. All things. Yet we cannot heal what we do not feel. If I don't feel that, if I'm avoiding that, if I don't want to embrace it or to look at it, then how are we going to heal it? It's not even a problem if I don't feel it. Or is it even a problem if you don't feel it? The body doesn't lie. Right? We have these aches. It aches. It has tightness, soreness, fatigue. And we need to understand that these are notifications, the same ones that, like the ones that pop up on our phone and say, ding, battery level low. Ding, you got a message from over here. Ding, this is happening. It's a notification. Yet instead of reading and acknowledging the notifications, we just mark it as read, discard it. But it's notifying us to be read. So we look into it and say, well, what is this pain? Where is my fatigue coming from? Instead, we'll discard it. No, I'm not. Whatever. Get that out of here. I don't have time for that right now. And then it just becomes a bigger issue later down the line. We have an ache, turns into a pain. The soreness gets worse. I don't address my fatigue. I get either more tired, and the fatigue leads to stress, and it's just downhill. So the guided question that I have is, where do you feel emotional scar tissue? Where do you feel this emotional scar tissue, this dense, numb, or aching in your body? Now, there's some that are dealing with, that are attributed to actual physical pain. I stubbed my toe. That's not what we're talking about. I broke my leg. That's not what we're talking about. You know where that came from. You tripped, you fell, you hurt yourself. We're talking about how we were just sitting around and we're just like, my back is sore. My shoulders are tight. I just got soreness and I'm fatigued, and every day it just gets worse, worse, worse. Where did that come from? That thought that pops up and you feel a tightening in your chest. Where did that come from? Thought, and all of a sudden it's like, my back just started hurting. I felt my foot. I used to have a sharp pain that like used to shoot in my foot. Just felt like it was random. Felt like it was random, just random times. But when I paid closer attention, it would actually happen during times of stress. Like I would feel this pain in my foot. It would inflame. At one point in time, like my foot was red. I'm talking about red. Just, it was swollen. But I become so numb to this and so used to it. It was just like, it is what it is. It's my foot. I attribute it to the days in the Marines hiking and humping all over the place. And some of that was a culprit. Yet I did not know. I wasn't paying attention to how much my emotions went into that. How much the pain like that I was feeling in my foot was because of things that I was holding on to and not releasing. And it just came out as me having an inflamed foot. Matter of fact, me having not just an inflamed foot, but having a sore, like, what is this? I don't know what to call it, but right on the pad of my foot, right? Like right here on the cushion part, where every time I would press down, every time I would try to run or jump, this pain would shoot through my foot. Then that caused lower back issues. And the whole time I'm just like, it's the thing that's on my foot, right? The sore. I know that. What I didn't understand or didn't know at the time was when I was removed from the negative space that I was in, and I started to release a lot of these emotions that I held on to, some of that anger, the resentment, that I would go outside and do something as simple as I saw my son take off his socks and shoes and walk in the grass. So I decided to do that. Found out this is a grounding technique to help ground you, relax you, and remove toxins from your body. Didn't know it. I was just following my son. That the more that I started to embrace that and to do that and to learn how to breathe and to release tension, that my foot started to get better. The same foot that I thought for the longest was just going to give me problems because it had for years. The sore went away. The inflammation went down. Now I don't have that same pain in my foot. Yet when I go back to the doctor, especially a few years ago, it was, you're going to need these insoles. Matter of fact, it was past that. If we can't control this, we're going to have to go in for surgery and surgery. Now they just look at my foot. Man, what did you do? Your foot looks so much better. And now we just need an insole and you're good. And I'm just looking, I said, well, start eating better. Because to really say what I did, it would be like unbelievable. It was unbelievable to me that my emotions can cause my body to fight against me. Simple emotions. Being angry all the time, not letting that go, created dis-ease in my body, and it showed in different areas. And just releasing that, tapping into that love for real, began to heal my foot. And this is coming from somebody who is self-proclaimed hater. Like I said this, I hate feet. Ugh, disgusting. So it wasn't, now it's not unfamiliar to me. Now it's not a coincidence that my feet would be the thing that I had to grow, to appreciate, to love. No joke. I used to say this all the time. Like, I hate feet. They were disgusting to me. Like, feet? How could somebody love feet? You walk on them like they stink, until it was my foot. And this wasn't something that I knew at that point in time. So it's not like, oh, I just started loving and kissing my feet. No. I didn't know any of this. So I was at a point where I had there was nothing else that I could do for real. The only thing I hadn't done was start to love and appreciate myself. Like, I did everything. I told you, I tried to. So I couldn't do that. It was like, we went there already. So let's try this. Let's start seeing something positive within ourselves. One thing led to another, to another, to another. And then all of a sudden, these ailments that I had in my body started to rewind, to remove themselves. They was no longer needed, I guess. They said, you know what? Hey, I guess we need it here. We about to get up out of here and go somewhere else. Yeah, sometimes I do feel that scar tissue. Sometimes I can feel that pain in my foot, especially if it comes at a time where I'm allowing myself maybe to get more frustrated than usual. I start to fall back into those emotions. That's when I'll start to feel it again. Yet the wisdom anchor that we have for this, for the body remembering and moving from holding to healing, comes from an African proverb that says, the child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. Our bodies, they too seek warmth and recognition. They too want to be recognized, to be remembered, to be felt. And so what I get from that proverb is, when our needs are not met, we find other means to meet those needs. So when our needs are not met, we find other means to meet those needs, even if they're destructive. However, when we bring self-love into it, the child doesn't need to burn the village. Matter of fact, the child doesn't burn the village. When you bring self-love into it, the child realizes instead how they are the fire. Therefore, they leave the village. Not out of bitterness, but for betterment. Recognizing they didn't see my value or my worth because they didn't see their own value or worth. So I got to get up out of here. I'm going to follow my inner belonging, which leads them to build a community of their own, a new one that is birthed from wholeness, not hurt. And a Buddhist teaching tells us, the Buddha says, our sorrows and wounds are healed only when we touch them with compassion. Our sorrows and wounds are healed only when we touch them with compassion. And that stands out to me because the village, in this instance, it talks about society, yes, but that village or that child is our body. And if we're not embracing it, hey, it's going to burn down the whole thing. When we're not embracing ourselves with self-love, what do? We burn it all down. We choose to partake in things that aren't healthy for our minds, our bodies, or our soul. And then we justify that. We're going to burn down the whole village. We don't care because we have not felt it from out there. So I'm going to find some type of way to feel it. Whether that's putting something in the way, performing, accepting things I shouldn't accept. When we don't feel that love, when our needs are not met, we will find other means to meet those needs. So if I'm not feeling the love from my family, those around me, from society, I'll go get that love through drugs, through toxic relationships. I'll find a way to substitute it, even if it's only for the moment. Anything to make me feel good, even if it's only in that moment. This is why self-love is very important. Because when we begin to meet our own needs, when we can see the love within ourselves, then that's how we understand we are the fire. I don't need to diminish another person or allow myself to be diminished. I can get up and go somewhere else. I can move around. I can build anew. I'm not going to stay here and keep accepting this, keep justifying, keep exclaiming, explaining, when I can just move on. And how much the staying, the need to want to explain for others to understand causes the aches, the pain, the dis-ease that we face. For it is only when our sorrows and wounds are healed, only when we touch them with compassion. And if you are in a situation where you're trying to get somebody to understand, to get them to love you, to get them to know what you've been through, where is the compassion that's needed for your wounds to heal? We end up opening them up more and more and more and more and more to try and expose, to show ourselves, others, the world, look at my pain. Look at how much I hurt. This is how much I done been through. No one cares. Yeah, we seem to care so much about telling someone what we've been through, even though they don't care. We end up performing. We end up begging and pleading for something that we can and are prescribed to give first to ourselves. Yet, I know you've heard otherwise. Society has told you, the teachers have told you, your preachers have told you, religion has told you, no, don't do that. It's told you about loving others, loving the world. But it said if you love yourself, that's bad. Yet how can you love the world? How can you have love for others when you don't love yourself? That is the question that we got to answer personally. Because that is what's causing so much dis-ease. The thought that I can love you, but not myself. The thought that I can say, to look my children in the face and say, I love you, but I don't love me. And to believe that they accept that. That somewhere deep down inside of them, that's not a question. Where because they saw that from me, they chose to replicate it. Well, I saw my parents not love themselves and love everybody else. So this is what I started to do. I started to love everybody else, but not myself. I gave my last to others and I didn't have anything. And that is supposed to make me a better person. Yet inside I'm bitter. I'm smaller. I keep shrinking. But I'm praising myself for how much I do for everybody else. And then I pray and I beg and I plead as to why I don't have what I need. This isn't about being selfish. Yet every time we hear love and self in the same thing, first of all, we don't believe in love and get all that hosh posh out of here, blah, 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 blah. And then we don't love ourselves. So those two things are not going together. Why would you do this? And then we start quoting scriptures, misquoting scriptures, and talking about how you're not supposed to. And what I often find is we're good at reciting what we were told, but we don't believe it. We will recite it and say it over and over and over again at these things, but you don't believe it. Yet it's that fear that keeps us stuck. And it is the love that is the rebirth. It's the portal that will transfer us to where we need to be. For you're not a label. You are not an outcast. You are healed, restored, and cherished by the God who makes all things new. There we go with the all things again. It didn't say only these things, only those things. only this or only that. It said all things. I don't care what it was. All things. You be like that. All is that part of all things. You are cherished by the God who makes all things new. And if your God don't make all things new, then like Big Sean said, I don't chew because it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. All things new. And your body can be made anew, will be made anew. Your mind can be made anew, will be made anew. Your spirit, your soul can be made anew, will be made anew. For your body's pain is the raw material that love uses. The pain is the raw material for love. Dang, what? What? No. They say opposites attract. The pain needs love, and sometimes your love equals pain. Yet when we meet pain with judgment, it calcifies, it hardens. Every time you judge it, it hardens, it gets more stiff. Yet when you meet it with love, it dissolves it into wisdom. See, there's things that you should know, yet you can't because there's anger blocking you. Because you have not allowed the love to dissolve it into wisdom. So you're locked out of that. And as long as we're locked out, we're going to assume that maybe this is the reason, that's the reason, this the reason, that's the reason. Yet we don't know. Meet that pain with love and watch as it dissolves into wisdom. And the issue may be that it's been so unbelievable that you haven't even done it. It's so unbelievable, we won't even attempt. Remember, I was saying, it says you are what you believe. So believe, inspired. Believe in, never stop prospering. It requires effort daily. If nothing else, believe that you can never stop prospering if you give the required effort daily. Believe that you will never stop prospering as long as you give the required effort daily. So if you are what you believe and we don't believe in love, we don't believe in self-love, this explains why we have the experiences that we have. So I'm a person, I didn't believe in it either. As soon as somebody said love, no, bro, nah, I can't stand it. Especially with my experiences. Love is like the four-letter word that you don't want to hear because everybody talks about it, but how many have experienced it? So we look at love as physical features, something that is physical. We believe love was, I know personally, I had issues with love because, again, at 5, my mother passed away. So I have issues believing that there could be love because the love of my life was gone at that point. Like, what is this? So from that pain, I lost my relation to what love was. Yet through that same pain, I regained the love that I once lost, that I once let go of. It wasn't lost, I let go of it. And yet it was pain that came around again to show me where the love was needed. And so rebirth happens when you stop avoiding the aches and you start breathing love into it. It ended when I stopped avoiding it, when I sat with it. When I started to breathe love into it, which means to not continue to see for what was taken from me, but to see what I received from that. Not to be thankful that something was gone, but to be grateful that something is here. Because if I just sat around and thought about my mother being gone, that made me angry. That's what got me in a lot of fights. It's what got it made me go outside and be in the streets. It was my justification for all things, really. That pain that I felt for that. And it made me not give the love to myself that I needed. So I had to really look at that situation, especially when it was juxtaposed next to me in real life being removed from my family. And now I'm seeing where I lost my mom as a kid, and now my son lost his father. My daughter lost their father, not physically, but it was like a 360 for me. And if I'm still mad at that situation and what happened, then how do I get to life? Because this life, you don't live it with anger. So the old life, where it was just okay to be mad all the time, where we just didn't know what was going on, where everything was somebody else's fault. In this renewed life, where we are living inspired every day forever, we are accountable and we understand what steps I took to put me in that situation. So that means that I can take different steps to get me out of that situation. This is no more where it's, they did this to me. This is, what have I done to myself? Where can I make a change? Because this is my life. It don't matter about what somebody did 100 years before I was born. I'm living right now. And what was taken away from me as a child, I am here right now. The past happened already. As long as I was holding on to that, I could not move through. So there was no love to be had. There was no sunshine. It was just dark and gloomy because things were taken from me, and that was my fuel. That fuel, man, it's expensive. It's expensive, and you need a lot of it, and it takes a lot from you to run off of that. Though I'll say that it's not like it's not in excess. You see it everywhere. It's like, oh, there's enough hate around here. There's enough anger every single day for you to run off of. It is. Yet, just like we have unleaded and then you have premium fuels, you understand when you get into those premium fuels, they burn different. They go into a different type of vehicle, a different type of engine. It creates a different type of, power. And that's what we're talking about. Becoming the body that we are supposed to be. We say our bodies are a temple, but we don't. We don't treat them like that. And so the body is constantly reminding you, hey, 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 hey. And we avoid it. we just keep putting unleaded fuel into a vehicle that actually runs better off premium, but we just don't know it yet. We just keep putting this in because that's what we're used to, until you start to want change. And you have to do something different. And then you start seeing, wait a minute, I operate much better when I'm up here. I operate much better off of this fuel. And that fuel is love. Yet if I can't look at myself and embrace that, if I'm tearing down myself, how does that attribute to my life? I can say what this person did to me all I want to, but what am I doing to attribute to my life? And understand this is not quick work. You can't just wake up and say, I'm healed. You can't do an affirmation and then you got it. You can't just breathe one day and then, yes, I'm gone. No. These are steps that as you begin to take them, you see how far you've come. So don't think that it's like, oh, this is just quick work. Maybe like 60 days or less, 30 days or less, 30 minutes of this. It's not a microwave. And we're understanding that. Microwave, yeah. If all you had was microwave food your whole life, and then you had a home cooked meal, you know that those are two different things. And we are preparing ourselves not to run off of unleaded, microwave, low level, low energetic fuels. We're vibrating higher now. We need to put different things into our mind, different things into our body, different things into our spirit, so we can operate like we are supposed to be operating on a high level, on a high vibratory level, not full of aches, pains, and dis-ease. So it's not quick work, but it is sacred work. In Lao Tzu, in Taoist wisdom, Lao Tzu tells us being deeply loved by someone gives you strength. Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. So if we are deeply loved by someone, that strengthens us. If we deeply love someone, it gives us courage. And here, that someone is you. For to be deeply in love with yourself will give you the strength and the courage that you need. Yet, when you don't have that for yourself, the one person that doesn't have the strength is you. I may have the strength because you love me so deeply. That makes me strong and it makes me keep going. But then I come back home and I see you down and depleted. And it's like, well, Dad, what's going on with you? Oh, don't worry about it. No, we are going to worry about it. Because you give me the strength, but you don't have the strength. Yeah, what happens when you are deeply in love with yourself and you can give yourself the strength? Now you have the strength. Are you going to withhold that from someone else? No. When you have the courage, are you going to withhold that from someone else? No. You are then able to give what you are capable of giving at all times, every day, forever. Yet when you're constantly giving of yourself what you don't have no more, then you run out. This is what we remember. I remember they gave their last and they gave their all and they kept giving to others and nobody gave. This is what we remember. This is what makes us bitter and say, I ain't doing this. Nope, I watched my mother do this and I ain't doing. The anger is coming from that. Yet if you've been around happy, joyful, loving people. You know how they uplift you. You know what type of energy they bring into a space. And all we're saying is we want to be that type of individual, to be able to generate that type of energy. And if we are doing this on an individual level first, if I make sure that I have the strength and courage, and you make sure that you have the strength and courage, then what's the issue that we have? We are going to not only generate ourselves, but we're going to be power producers when we get around each other. But you see what happens when I have the strength and courage to do something, and I'm uplifted, empowered, and inspired, and then you get around another person who is not, and they begin to take from you. Now you get around more people that are like that, and they begin to take from you. You have takers because they aren't capable of giving. So as we give to ourselves, we are more likely to give to others. Where do you have to take? Only when we are incapable of giving what we need. As we said earlier, when our needs are not met, we will find other means to meet those needs. If I can't give it to myself, I'm going to find another way to get it. And this is what is unfortunately happening. We don't get the love from ourselves. We didn't get it from our surroundings. We weren't taught. So now we go seek it in other things and other people, and we try to find ways to replicate it. And it's all fleeting. Yet in Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 17, I believe we are reminded where it says, "For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord. Because they called thee an outcast, saying, This is Zion, whom no man seeketh after." They called him an outcast, but this is a criminal. It says, "For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, because they called thee an outcast." Because. So God's response is not rejection, or God's response to rejection is not condemnation. You're not condemned because you was rejected. God's response to rejection is restoration. Because they called thee an outcast. Because nobody thinks anything highly of you. Because they pushed you out. Because you don't see it within yourself, I'll restore it in you. So it's human. It's man that has conditional love. Our love comes with conditions. Men and women come with conditions. If this, then that. You do this, and then. So there's a condition to receive this love every time. So did you ever receive it all? It was just piece by piece by piece by piece. And I'm always going to keep some, hold it hostage because it's conditional. Whereas God's love is sovereign. It's transformative. It's redeeming. It reminds us that love is our healer, and we must simply anchor in it. It's not that which took from us, the enemy. It is that which will heal us regardless. And it is because you have rejected. You're in disbelief that you will be made a believer. One cannot serve two masters. So I ask, which image do we adhere to? Is it man's conditional or God's unconditional? Because if God's response to rejection is not condemnation, but restoration, then how are we rejecting continuously the thing that is made in the image? If you are not also rejecting God. Can't serve two masters. Yet it seems maybe we are more inclined to the conditional because we love ourselves with conditions. If I do this, then I'm good. If not, then I'm bad. You look at yourself worse than anybody else. You condemn yourself while giving praise to everyone and everything else. You can love them, but you can't love you. We don't see where that causes problems. That creates barriers that trap us in our thinking of, if I stop, then I fall behind. So I can't stop. I got to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going until I pass out from exhaustion. Now I can't. Thoughts, if I feel this pain, it will consume me. If I think about it, then it's going to be the end, and there's no way. So we avoid it. We say we must avoid this pain at all costs. And that costs us everything. We want to avoid it and not look at it, not think about it, not talk about it, sweep it under the rug. Well, eventually that rug so much stuff under that rug, it's like, was there an episode of The Simpsons like that? But anyway, it's like so much stuff under your rug, you're now walking on top of it. You try to hide so much in the closet where now you can't get in the closet no more. There's no hiding. It is coming out of our body in aches, pain, soreness, fatigue. And we simply have to begin to address it. We cannot think anymore that if I thank it, that means that I admit that it mattered. So if I'm thankful, if I say, again, not thankful for losing my mother, yet I'm thankful for being reminded of her. Not that I lost something, but I gained something else. Yet if we think where I say, if I thank it, it mattered, that somehow only the good things, which I don't know what necessarily would be only the good things, create our life. When it's a mixture of both. What we look at is good and bad. And that thankfulness that we avoid, that we don't want to give, blocks us. How that inhibits us from the gratitude which is associated and tied to the love that we need. So we can't have compassion because we don't want to be thankful. We can't have love because we don't show gratitude. So we don't want to